Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak about something that silently controls the direction of our lives, our attitude. You see, life doesn't always go as planned. We face setbacks, failures, criticism, and change. But in every moment, we carry one power with us, the power to choose how we respond. That response, that mindset, that outlook, that's called attitude. And I truly believe your attitude is your whole thing, and it shapes your relationships, builds or breaks your confidence, drives your discipline, and colors every experience you have. Two people can face the same challenge. One crumbles, the other grows. Why? Not luck, not talent, but attitude. We've all met people who shine even in darkness. Not because they're lucky, but because they choose to see light. We've seen others fall despite having every advantage, because their attitude pulled them down. Your attitude speaks before you say a word. It enters the room before you do. It affects how others treat you, how you treat yourself, and ultimately where you go in life. You may not control everything that happens, but you always control your response. The truth is, success isn't about being the smartest, richest, or most talented. It's about who refuses to give up, who grows through pressure, who refuses to be bitter, because they've trained their mind to see opportunity where others see defeat. So ask yourself every day, what attitude am I choosing right now? Are you feeding negativity or building strength? Are you dragging yourself down or lifting yourself up? Are you letting your attitude lead you forward or hold you back? Because at the end of the day, your attitude is not a small thing. It's your whole thing. Your circumstances may be out of your control, but your attitude toward them determines how they affect you. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that defines your outcome. Life throws challenges at everyone, but it's the attitude that turns problems into growth and pain into power. Wadi? Before you even speak, your attitude speaks for you. It influences how others perceive you, how they interact with you, and how deep your connections go. A positive, open attitude invites trust and respect. A negative one builds walls and distances. Your energy is contagious. People feel it. Confidence isn't only about skills or preparation, it's a mindset. A strong attitude tells you that you can try, fail, and still be worthy. It tells you to stand tall in uncertainty. If your attitude believes in growth, confidence naturally follows. But if your attitude doubts, your spirit shrinks. The reason some people show up every day, even when they're afraid or discouraged, isn't because they're machines, it's because they have the right attitude. An attitude of I don't quit builds long-term discipline. It becomes a quiet force that powers you through what others avoid. Everyone falls, everyone fails, but not everyone gets back up. Your attitude decides whether you become a victim or a student. A growth attitude asks, what can I learn? While a bitter one asks, why me? The power lies in choosing to grow, not grieve forever. Life's weight can be heavy, but your attitude can strengthen your shoulders. When you believe that storms don't last forever, when you remind yourself that you are built to rise, that's when your inner resilience forms. Attitude is the difference between staying down or standing up stronger. Every decision, every effort, every risk, it starts with your internal dialogue. If your attitude whispers fear, you'll hesitate. If it shouts belief, you'll act boldly. Your mind obeys the tone you set. That internal narrative, that's your compass, your motivator, and your fuel. People may forget your words, your job title, or even your achievements, but they will remember how you made them feel. Your attitude, daily and consistently, becomes the energy you radiate and the story you tell others about who you are. Make it one of strength, hope, and courage. One of the biggest misunderstandings people carry is the belief that their life is dictated purely by their external circumstances, their background, environment, or the things that happen to them. But history, psychology, and real-world experience all show that the real power lies not in what happens to us, but in how we respond. That response is called attitude, and it has the ability to completely reshape the outcome of any situation. Take two people in the same difficult situation. One sees it as a dead end, while the other views it as a challenge to grow. What makes the difference? Not education, not wealth, not luck, but attitude. Your mindset, your inner belief system, your ability to choose optimism over defeat and growth over stagnation, that's what ultimately determines whether you rise or remain stuck. Attitude influences your choices, and your choices shape your reality. A person with a strong positive attitude will look at failure and say, "This is temporary. I'll learn and try again." Someone with a defeated mindset will say, "This always happens to me. I'm not good enough." One keeps moving, the other stops. Same setback, different result, all because of attitude. You can't always control the storm, but you can control the sail. That's why your attitude is far more powerful than any event or difficulty. Even in the darkest situations, those with a resilient, growth-centered attitude find light, create opportunities, and keep building their future. Your job may change, people may disappoint you, plans may fall apart, but your attitude, that internal force, will always be the deciding factor in how your story unfolds. It can turn the worst days into defining moments and the smallest victories into powerful motivation. Your attitude is not just something you carry internally. It radiates outward and affects every interaction you have. Whether you realize it or not, your attitude enters the room before you do. It shapes the way people perceive you, how they respond to you, and how relationships begin, evolve, or fall apart. In fact, many people lose opportunities not because they lack ability, but because their attitude repels rather than attracts. Think about the people you're naturally drawn to. They're not always the smartest or the most accomplished. Often, they're the ones who carry a positive energy, a willingness to listen, and a spirit of openness. Their attitude makes you feel seen, heard, and respected. Now compare that to someone who always complains, criticizes, or carries a sense of superiority. You instinctively step back, close off, or avoid engaging at all. The difference isn't in their words, it's in their attitude. In conversations, your tone, your body language, your expressions, they all reflect your mindset. A helpful, humble, and optimistic attitude invites others in. It builds trust and allows real connections to form. On the other hand, a defensive, dismissive, or arrogant attitude shuts people down, creates distance, and invites conflict. In leadership, in family, in friendships, your attitude either builds bridges or burns them. It's important to understand that communication is more than just words, it's energy. People can sense sincerity, kindness, bitterness, and pride, and they respond accordingly. That's why those who lead with a positive, respectful, and emotionally intelligent attitude tend to have deeper, more fulfilling relationships, both personally and professionally. Your attitude also affects how you handle misunderstandings, disagreements, and criticism. Do you become defensive and stubborn, or do you stay calm and seek to understand? The answer lies not in your communication skills alone, but in the attitude you carry into the conversation. Because your attitude doesn't just determine what you say, it determines how people feel after you've said it. Confidence is often misunderstood as something you're either born with or not. But in truth, confidence is not just a trait. It's a byproduct of your attitude. It's built, nurtured, and reinforced by how you think about yourself, how you respond to challenges, and how you interpret your own worth. And at the heart of all that lies your mindset, your attitude. When you carry a positive and empowering attitude, you begin to trust yourself. You believe that even if you don't have all the answers, you can figure things out. Even if you fail, you can grow. Even if things get hard, you have what it takes to persevere. This internal belief becomes your foundation, the solid ground your confidence stands on. And it's all driven by attitude. A healthy attitude teaches you to focus on progress over perfection. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," your attitude shifts the narrative to, "I'm learning and I'm getting better every day." That subtle change in perspective makes a massive difference. It turns self-doubt into self-encouragement. It transforms fear of failure into a willingness to try. And trying consistently is what builds true confidence. On the flip side, a negative attitude slowly chips away at your belief in yourself. It feeds insecurity by highlighting what you lack instead of what you have. It convinces you to compare, to shrink, to stay silent when you should speak, and to give up before you even begin. Over time, this mindset becomes a habit, and that habit becomes your reality. What people often call low self-esteem was more accurately a pattern of internal dialogue shaped by a self-limiting attitude. But when you consciously choose an empowering outlook, one that says, I deserve to grow, I am capable, I belong here, you start rewriting your internal script. That's when confidence begins to take root. In moments of pressure, stress, or uncertainty, it's not your talent alone that carries you, it's your attitude. It's the voice that reminds you that you've made it through before, that you're strong enough to stand tall, and that your worth isn't defined by one moment. That inner belief system, built on a positive and resilient attitude, becomes the fuel that keeps your confidence alive. When people talk about success, they often highlight discipline and motivation as essential ingredients, and they're right. But what fuels both of those qualities at a deeper level is something even more powerful: your attitude. It's the mindset you carry that determines whether you show up on the days you don't feel like it, whether you push through when results are slow, and whether you stay focused when distractions tempt you. Without the right attitude, even the strongest discipline begins to fade. Discipline is not just about rigid structure, it's about consistency born from belief. And belief comes from attitude. A person with a committed attitude doesn't rely on mood or temporary bursts of motivation. They understand that discipline is a long-term investment, one that may not pay off immediately, but always rewards in the end. This kind of thinking doesn't happen by accident. It's built through an attitude that sees value in showing up, even when it's hard. Even when it's hard. Your attitude determines your internal dialogue in moments of struggle. When you're tired, bored, or discouraged, do you say, "What's the point?" Or do you say, "Oh, this is where growth happens"? That single shift in attitude makes all the difference. It's what gets you out of bed early to chase your goals. It's what makes you choose effort over comfort, structure over chaos, and focus over distraction. And when it comes to drive, that burning desire to achieve or become something, attitude plays an equally important role. Drive doesn't just come from ambition, it comes from purpose, and your attitude is what keeps that purpose alive during tough times. When obstacles appear, a negative attitude says, "This is a sign to stop." A driven attitude says, "This is a test of how much I want it." People with a strong attitude don't make excuses. They make adjustments. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They act with what they have. That's because their attitude is focused on progress, not perfection, action, not delay. This mindset doesn't just create short bursts of effort, it builds habits. And habits, repeated with discipline over time, are what shape character and results. The truth is, without the right attitude, discipline becomes punishment and drive becomes frustration. But when attitude aligns with purpose and perspective, it transforms effort into empowerment. Life will never be a straight road. It's filled with detours, delays, disappointments, and moments when nothing goes according to plan. These setbacks are unavoidable, but how we interpret and respond to them is entirely up to us, and that response is governed by one thing: attitude. Your attitude is what determines whether a setback becomes a stepping stone or a permanent wall. It decides if failure becomes a teacher or a trap. When your attitude is growth-oriented, failure is not the end, it's feedback. It becomes a mirror reflecting where you can improve, not a verdict condemning who you are. People with this kind of mindset don't ask, "Oh, why did this happen to me?" Instead, they ask, "What can I learn from this?" That one shift in perspective makes the difference between someone who evolves and someone who stays stuck in the past. On the other hand, a negative attitude turns every challenge into a reason to quit. It builds excuses out of discomfort and sees obstacles as proof that you weren't meant to succeed. That kind of mindset avoids responsibility and seeks someone or something to blame. It doesn't want solutions, it wants sympathy. Over time, this pattern creates a mindset of helplessness, where you feel life is happening to you instead of through you. What separates high achievers, resilient leaders, and mentally tough individuals from the rest is not that they avoid failure, it's that they respond to it differently. Their attitude treats every setback as a part of the journey, They look for the hidden wisdom in painful moments. They understand that sometimes life's greatest breakthroughs are hidden behind moments of struggle. Your attitude also shapes how quickly you recover. When you face rejection, a closed door, or a mistake, do you dwell in it, or do you extract the lesson and keep moving? Do you internalize failure as part of your identity, or do you see it as just an event? Something that happened, not something that defines you. A strong, healthy attitude gives you the resilience to bounce back, reflect, and grow stronger from what tried to break you. Setbacks will test your patience, your belief in yourself, and your commitment to your goals. But they also give you a choice. Use them as fuel or allow them to become excuses. The way you frame that experience in your mind, through your attitude, determines how you carry it forward into the next chapter. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, and attitude is the foundation that supports it. Mental resilience is the ability to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. It's the inner strength that allows you to stay focused under pressure, bounce back after failure, and remain hopeful even in the face of uncertainty. And it all begins with the kind of attitude you choose to hold when life gets hard. A positive attitude doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is okay when it's not. It means choosing to believe that no matter how dark today is, it doesn't mean tomorrow won't be brighter. It's about holding on to faith in your ability to overcome, even when the evidence isn't obvious yet. That quiet strength to keep moving forward, to keep believing, to keep fighting, that's resilience. And attitude is what fuels that fire inside. When your attitude says, I can handle this, your mind starts looking for strategies, for hope, for possibilities. But when your attitude says, I'm finished, your mind shuts down and the body follows. That's why two people can face the same level of adversity. One survives and thrives, while the other breaks down. The difference lies not in the pressure, but in the posture, not in the event, but in the internal approach to it. People with a resilient attitude train their minds to reframe challenges. Instead of seeing problems as punishment, they view them as part of the process. They understand that growth isn't always comfortable and strength isn't built in ease. They don't crumble when they hear a no, they adapt. They don't give up when something fails. They analyze, learn, and try again. That's not luck or genetics. That's attitude working behind the scenes, keeping the mind sharp and the heart strong. A resilient attitude also guards against emotional exhaustion. Life is filled with disappointments, broken promises, delayed goals, and unexpected changes. Without the right attitude, these things can wear you down, make you bitter, and drain your hope. But with a strong, hopeful mindset, you begin to see setbacks as seasons, temporary, not permanent, immanent. You start to believe that storms do pass and that you are capable of withstanding them. The way you speak to yourself in hard times matters. Your attitude becomes your inner voice. And if that voice is one of courage, self-compassion, and belief, it becomes a shield against hopelessness and fear. It becomes the core of your emotional strength. Behind every action you take or don't take is an internal voice guiding your behavior. That voice is shaped not by logic alone, but by your attitude. Your attitude forms the emotional and psychological lens through which you interpret challenges, risks, opportunities, and decisions. It influences your motivation, your courage, your hesitation, and your follow-through. It is the silent force that either pushes you forward or quietly convinces you to stand still. Think about a moment when you faced a decision that required courage. Maybe speaking up in a meeting, taking on a difficult project, or chasing a goal that felt just out of reach. Before you acted, what did you tell yourself? If your attitude was strong and encouraging, your inner voice likely said, you can do this. You've prepared. Even if you fail, you'll learn. That voice empowered you. But if your attitude was negative or filled with doubt, it might have whispered, don't bother. You're not ready. You'll embarrass yourself. And that single internal script could stop you in your tracks. Attitude is like an operating system running in the background of your mind. It controls how you interpret information and how you emotionally respond to it. A positive, constructive attitude doesn't eliminate fear, but it helps you act in spite of it. It convinces you that action is better than regret, that growth lies just beyond discomfort, and that failing while trying is more noble than never trying at all. This inner voice doesn't only speak in big decisions, it whispers in the small daily ones too. It decides whether you get up and exercise, whether you keep your word, whether you stay committed to your routine, and whether you treat people with kindness or contempt. Every action and every inaction is deeply influenced by what your attitude is saying beneath the surface. Over time, the attitude you adopt becomes your default setting. If you regularly allow self-doubt, negativity, or laziness to control your thinking, your actions will reflect it. But if you deliberately cultivate a mindset of responsibility, resilience, and belief, your actions will align with those qualities and your life will follow in that direction. Even in moments of hesitation, a strong attitude becomes the difference between overthinking and taking that first step. It becomes the power that replaces excuses with momentum. It turns uncertainty into curiosity, fear into fuel, and problems into purpose. Because long before anything changes externally, your attitude has already decided what kind of effort you'll give or whether you'll give up. In a world where people are constantly chasing titles, achievements, and recognition, it's easy to forget that the most lasting impression you leave behind isn't based on what you've accomplished. It's based on how you made others feel, how you carried yourself, and the energy you brought into every space. And all of that is shaped by one powerful thing, your attitude. Your attitude is not just about how you treat your work or your goals, it's about how you show up in life. It becomes your emotional signature, the invisible imprint you leave on people long after you're gone. Whether it's your kindness in tough moments, your optimism during uncertain times, your humility in victory, or your patience in frustration, all of these things become part of how others remember you. People may forget the exact words you said, but they'll remember the warmth or coldness in your tone. They might not recall every task you completed, but they'll never forget whether you brought calm or chaos into the room. The energy of your attitude lingers. It becomes your personal brand, a silent ambassador of your character and values. In relationships, your attitude becomes the anchor. A nurturing, understanding, and compassionate attitude builds deep trust. It shows that you're the kind of person people can lean on. On the contrary, a toxic or negative attitude leaves people guarded, cautious, and unwilling to open up. Whether at home, in a team, or in a community, your attitude is what determines if you are remembered as a light or a burden. Even in leadership, people don't just follow directions. They follow attitude. They follow integrity, courage, empathy, and belief. Your attitude sets the tone for those around you. A leader with a complaining or fearful attitude will breathe the same in their team. But one with an inspiring problem-solving mindset will lift the spirit of everyone around them. The ripple effect of your attitude is bigger than you'll ever fully see. And legacy isn't something you create in your final years. It's built daily through your choices, through how you treat people when no one's watching, through how you react when things don't go your way. Every interaction is a brushstroke on the canvas of your character. Over time, those strokes form the complete picture of your legacy, a picture painted not just with your actions, but with the attitude behind them. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're teaching people how to treat others, how to carry themselves, and how to handle life's ups and downs simply through the attitude you embody. You're either spreading inspiration or discouragement. You're either encouraging growth or feeding fear. That's why attitude isn't just a personal thing. It's a legacy that extends far beyond your own story. So if you take nothing else from today, remember this: you may not control every event in your life, but you always control how you respond. That response, your attitude, is your power. It's your voice when things are silent, your compass when you're lost, and your strength when things feel too heavy to carry. Your attitude can elevate you or exhaust you. It can open doors or keep you trapped in place. It's not a small detail. It's the engine behind everything. So protect it. Shape it. Choose it every single day. Because in the end, your attitude isn't just part of the journey. It is the journey. And when you master it, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop you.